Hello again, friends. Kirsten here, your decision coach for the episode. And we are going to talk today about your new favorite decision making shortcut. Are you ready? We're going to talk about satisficing. And before I explain what that word is and where it comes from and how to use it, we're going to start with a startling fact, and then we're going to go into a tangent. But I promise this entire episode is going to make your life better. Stay with me. Startling fact comes from Annie Duke's book, How to Decide. Side note, I do recommend this book if you're a decision nerd like I am. It's pretty heady, but I will say it is more readable and relatable than a lot of decision making resources out there. Part of my job that I have appointed myself is to really just take in all of the available information for you. I read all the books. I take all the training I can. I distill all of it into the most bite-sized, usable, relevant pieces. And then I work with my clients using all of those pieces and find out how does this stuff actually play out in real life. And then I deliver them to you through the podcast or when we work together. So I will say, sure, read the book if you're super curious, but also my goal is to make it so that you don't feel like you're missing out on anything because you're here. And I'm going to give you the best of the best of the best. The tangent that we're going to go into is me reminding you that if you want the best of the best, make sure that you come to the Stop the Spiral workshop. You still have time if you're listening live to get your ticket and come participate in the workshop because it's happening Friday, July 11th. 2025. If it happens that that date is in the past now when you're listening, you can still get the on-demand workshop. Just go to kirstenparker.com/spiral to either get your tickets or get the on-demand workshop. These are usable, practical tools you can take with you and use in your life today. You can go to the grocery store and use them. You can respond to the emails and texts using these tools. It's really meant to give you that satisfaction of, oh, I can overthink less. I can make a faster decision. I can not second guess it. I can know why I'm making it and believe it's good immediately. That is what this workshop is for. And it's pulling from the larger habit change work we do inside my decision coaching. You can find out about all of that in the show notes. You really want to make sure you get this workshop if you want to spend less time and energy on these little decisions. And speaking of time and energy, we are back to the fun fact, startling statistic that Annie Duke shared in her book. Did you know that the average person spends 250 to 275 hours every single year just deciding what to wear, eat, and watch? What? The way she phrases this in her book is actually what got me. This is 6 to 7 work weeks. If you work 40 hours a week, if you're the average person, you're spending 6 to 7 work weeks worth of time just on these decisions about what to watch on TV, wear on your body, and eat on your plate every single year. We need to look at this annual figure to see what we're actually getting for the time and energy we're spending. How do you feel about that statistic? Does it make you feel nice about the expenditure of that time and energy? Not probably. This brings us to today's decision-making shortcut, satisficing. Okay, so what I am saying, the word I am saying is a combination of satisfying and sufficing. It's a term coined by Herbert Simon. He was a Nobel Prize winner, an economist, a cognitive psychologist, and he came up with this idea in the 50s. He introduced it as a decision-making strategy for people to use when they had limited resources, limited time, limited energy, limited information, when people wanted good to be better than perfect. And for our purposes, it's kind of an antidote to perfectionism or optimization. Perfectioning is the pursuit of making something perfect. Optimizing is the pursuit of the best possible option. And sometimes we want things to be perfect. We're allowed. Sometimes we want things to be optimal. We're allowed. But when these tendencies roll off the rails and they start yanking us around, taking charge of every single decision, and we are no longer choosing consciously that, yes, I want to optimize this choice, we end up wasting 6 to 7 work weeks worth of time on decisions we don't want to care that much about. So satisficing is not the way we should be making choices. You know me, I'm not going to should you about anything. I'm going to give you tools. Optimization can be a tool you use on purpose and create great results you love with. So can satisficing. And I want to be clear, when we say we're satisficing, we are not settling. This is something that you are going to be doing intentionally when the benefits of satisficing outweigh the costs of perfecting or optimizing. It's all about putting you in charge of what matters, right? That's what we always, always, always come back to. And when you want to choose that efficiency and good enough results are your ideal result of a decision, that's when you're going to satisfy. You're not going to settle. Does that make sense? So let's talk about when and how to use this decision-making shortcut. When to use it is when you are reserving your optimization energy for different decisions. If you're in the middle of a big house remodel or a big project at work or a big parenting situation, and you really want to make careful choices and optimize what you can free up the energy you really want to direct to those decisions by satisficing elsewhere. All right. So for the duration of this project or until we get, out of the weeds with this problem we're facing, I am going to save myself time and energy on choosing my outfits every day. We're going to satisfice. We're really going to clean those decisions up. We're not going to angst about them. We're not going to fret about them. We're not going to spend a lot of time and energy on them. Another prime time to use satisficing is when you are running on fumes. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to over-explain that. And a great time to use satisficing is when you're practicing becoming a more efficient and intentional decision maker. You don't have to be in the middle of a problem or a crisis or a big project to build this skill. You can practice satisficing just so you know you can do it and exercise it when you really need to in the next crisis or project. How you do it is really simple. You first define the need to haves. When I worked in corporate for a little while, this term got thrown around all the time. The need to haves and the nice to haves. We have to make them separate. We have to know where the need to haves stop and where the nice to haves begin for budgetary purposes. And that's very true in decision making too. Another way to look at this is essentials versus non-essentials. So when you are facing a decision, what are the essentials? What are the need to haves? What are the bare minimums? I hesitate to use that phrase because bare minimum sounds so much like settling and we're like, ick. But if you can neutralize that term and really make peace with the fact that bare minimum is a great standard for many things, and you don't actually need to exceed that standard to get the results you want or love your life or feel good about yourself or get a good night's sleep, then you'll be golden. So however you want to think about it, step 1 is define your criteria. Step 2 is pick the first option that satisfies those criteria. I know. Step 2 is just decide. You thought you were going to get like a 6-step process, didn't you just now? Yeah, that's really all satisficing is. It's finding the most satisfactory option that will suffice. So step 3 is move on. Know that you did your job well, then that decision is done. So examples, if you are making a new program, I am actually in the process of rebuilding a new and improved version of the Decision Masters program. I don't know if that's what it's going to be called, but get freaking excited. And if you're really, really curious, you can already go join the waitlist at kirstenparker.com/program. We're going to open in October and the waitlist members are going to get an exclusive discount. So you have literally nothing to lose and only things to gain by joining the waitlist. But I'm in the process of building a new program right now. I want optimization energy going to that. So it is the absolute best it can be. So for a lot of other decisions I'm making in life around that, in work and outside of work, I am using satisficing energy. I am deciding that, you know what, my brain is working real hard at good stuff over here. I don't want it to work that hard at little stuff over here. How are we decorating for 4th of July? Well, they're giant pinwheels in the grocery store right now. Let's get them and put them in the lawn. Done. Also, my giant pinwheels were amazing. But I didn't go hunting for any things and I didn't second guess the decision after I made it. I was like, this will suffice. Ba-bam. Also, when you're picking a restaurant at the end of a really long day, if you're running on fumes, pick your minimum criteria. Do not waste that precious final brain power that you have on these decisions that will not make a large difference in your life. Satisfice. Pick your criteria. 4-star restaurant, has vegetables, will deliver in under 45 minutes. Done. Pick the first thing you find. Do not compare 9 options. What gets in the way of us being comfortable with satisficing are the fear of missing out on a better option We can have internalized pressure to make the most and best use of time and money and effort. We can really receive a lot of messaging over our lives that if we're not optimizing, we're wasting. And our self concept gets in the way. Like I said, we don't want to be a person who settles. We also can like seeing ourselves as someone who always makes the best possible choice. And these are things you have to come to terms with. Probably each one is a separate podcast episode, but just know if you experience resistance to satisficing, yeah, you're normal. And that's something that I definitely work with a lot of decision makers around because none of that resistance usually originates from your genuine, authentic beliefs and desires. It usually comes from habits and conditioning and outside pressure. So I want you to remember you're not lowering your standards by adopting this tool. And it's not a way of life. It's just another tool. You're not deciding, okay, from here on out, I'm going to be a B- person. None of us want that. But we do want to look back at the last year and not cringe, thinking how much time and energy we wasted just being indecisive and dragging decisions out that really didn't matter. And looking at what we didn't do, thinking, man, I probably could have used some of that energy for that stuff over here. We don't want you looking back on your year at where you fell short or where you didn't try harder or what you didn't even attempt and think, well, apparently I had 250 to 275 hours that I could kind of drag these other decisions out with. Maybe, I don't know, my entire life would be a little different if I had redirected some of those resources. I don't think you should never, ever spend time on what to eat, watch, and wear. That is not what I'm arguing for here. I hope it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it just to be super crystal clear. But I do think you want to be intentional. When you're going to spend 20 minutes picking a show or picking an outfit or picking a restaurant, you want to know why. And you want to feel in charge of those 20 minutes. You want to make that an investment and decide, yeah, the return on this is going to be worth it because this thing I'm going to, I want to feel really amazing about the way that I look and the outfit that I chose. And this is worth that time. Brilliant. But do we want you spending half an hour every single day putting together your outfit while you are simultaneously frustrated at the other things in your life that are not getting enough time or your best energy? That's not what we want. So that's why it's worth practicing this skill and building it up. And if you want more of these kind of usable tools, you can go immediately to the grocery store or into work or into your next date night with and see yourself making more efficient, clear-headed decisions. Get your butt to the Stop the Spiral workshop. It's going to be really fun live because there's going to be interactive Q&A time and we can talk about your real life decisions and questions that you have about any of the tools. I'm sharing a lot. If you know me, you know I do not really play small when it comes to giving you an hour's worth of decision-making tools. So it's going to be really fun if you get to come live, but you will not miss out if you get the on-demand version. Whichever way you want to do it, kirstenparker.com/spiral. I hope you have fun experimenting with satisficing this week, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, want to find out your decision style? Obviously, go take the decision style quiz. It's in the show notes and at kirstenparker.com/quiz. We all have our style when it comes to making decisions, but do you know how to use your default way of thinking to your advantage? Or do you mainly get stuck in the most annoying parts of overthinking and people pleasing? The decision style quiz has your answers, my friend. Take it right now at kirstenparker.com/quiz.